All right, gonna call to order the special voting meeting for January 16th, 2025. Gonna start out with a flag salute and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Dr. Baldino,
Is he able to?
Here.
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue,
Here.
Mr. Elling,
Present.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Knopf,
Here.
Ms. Lynch. Here. Mr. Staff,
Here.
Ms. Smith, yeah, here.
Okay, thank you. Next up, hearing of the visitors. Do we have anybody signed up? No? Okay. So let's move on. Okay, Frank, you want to talk about this, please?
Yes, so I am requesting from the board to make a temporary adjustment to policy 140. Very simply, I don't want to, this isn't the time to get into the charter school renewal, but I'm asking to change there's a provision in policy 140 that says that 45 days after we have the information that we will have an initial meeting with the charter school. The charter school submitted information to us on December 2nd, and we haven't had time to get together the ad hoc committee with board reorganization and all. So the 45 days would have expired today. So I'm asking that the board suspend that 45 days or give me up to 90 days to have the initial meeting with the charter school for the initial hearing on the renewal process. A little bit of background on the 45-day requirement in the law. It says that in initial approval of a charter school, the school board must meet with the charter organization asking for the approval of a charter within 45 days. Somehow it made it into our policy. The 45 days is not a requirement for a renewal. I checked that out with our solicitor and looked through the law myself. The 45-day requirement is only for an initial approval. It is not for the renewal. So I'm asking again for at least an extension of 45 days for the board to have an initial renewal meeting with the charter school, which can be a temporary amendment to the policy, and then we can come through the policy committee normally if we want to make a more permanent change to policy 140.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on this? Go ahead, Chris.
We got the paperwork December 2nd.
December 2nd. So that giant pile of paperwork that I shared with you all electronically, we got on December 2nd. Yes.
We haven't gotten anything electronically on the charter school. If you remember,
I shared
at the
with
work
you,
session, I said, we've not seen anything.
and the next day I shared with you, you should have seen something, an email that's saying that I'm sharing something with you, which is
I've not
folder.
seen anything.
Okay, I shared it with it. I'll check into that, but I know I sent that that share. That I sent.
Okay. Cause I can bring it up right here. I've gotten nothing on it. But if this was done December 2nd, I'm gonna say, I think it's only fair. Why didn't we do this sooner and get it done? Because we're expecting them to be spot on, have everything done on time and holding them to a timeline, but yet we're not doing it ourselves. And that's not right to ask somebody to do something we're not doing ourselves. This should have been done in December.
Recall that in December, there's a board reorganization, and in that board reorganization, there's a reassignment of committees. So there was no official notice of who was going to be on the ad hoc committee until I think right before we came back in January. So we didn't even know who was going to be on the ad hoc committee before that point.
Well, I know we need to get it done. 90 days would really be stringing it out for them.
Well, all it would be is an extension of 45 days,
He said 90.
It would be a
which would be a
total,
total of 90 days.
Okay.
and I wouldn't wait till the last moment to do it. We'd get started on it right away.
Anybody else?
Have you discussed it with them?
Yes,
And
we have a plan to meet on the 23rd of January as our initial meeting. So as soon as we get this done, then I'll be sending a note to the ad hoc committee saying, let's meet next week to start talking through the initial parts of what the renewal looks like.
okay,
Go ahead, Jeff.
I think what Frank's asking for is sounds more than anything, just a procedural kind of thing. I don't think that, especially since it's the 45-day timeline only applies to initial charter applications, which this certainly is not. I think I don't see any reason why going with the extension, especially since we have a meeting set up that soon in the future. We have a week from now. So I think it's mainly just a procedural kind of thing. So I have no problem making a motion to do that if you want to do that now.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Go ahead, Butch.
I was questioning the timeline. 45 days gonna put it up to first week of March. And then according to the policy, we have 75 days after the first meeting to,
So again, those timelines are set up based on an initial approval. The renewal that timeline is not what those timelines are.
Okay.
And again, I have no interest, I don't think the board has any interest in stretching this out very far. I think we just need to get moving on it. But because there was the 45 days written in policy, I wanted to, first of all, acknowledge that it's in our policy and then have the board consider extending that timeline.
I know we can do it, because I know the last time I was involved in the charter school stuff was 10 years ago. And we had 4 hearings, and it probably took most of a year to do all.
Oh, my God, yeah.
We had hearings and legal counsel. And all kinds
Remember.
of stuff. And it came to the board for a vote because there was all kind of stuff that wasn't happening, that could have been happening. Fairly confident that if we voted it down and it went to the state for a hearing, we would be successful there. And fortunately, it never made it off the board. It was a couple people voted to approve it. So I know this is just a formality. I really don't see us voting the charter school to close. Have to do everything by the policy that we can extend it. Like I said, it's not technically a legal responsibility to go with the 45 days, except for the first initial approval. I know the last time it took, when I was involved, it took a year, I think, to get everything done. Roger,
Oh, yeah, I
long drawn
remember.
out thing. We were here.
Meeting after meeting after meeting and,
Remember,
nightmare. All right, Elizabeth?
Thank you. I understand you're requesting an extension, and I heard your argument. I truly believe that we are so organized, they are so organized, we could have gotten this done sooner. And it was a misstep. That's the only way I can view it, is it's a misstep. And I don't feel comfortable requesting and asking for them to give us an extension after everything they've already been through and everything they've done, and they're also appear to
We're-
be doing really
Elizabeth,
well.
we're not asking them for an extension.
We're getting,
We're
initiating
saying,
it, yes,
we're gonna do this.
yes, no, you're correct. I misquoted myself. Thank you for correcting me. I'm serious.
Okay,
So I think 45 days, considering they're doing so well, they've improved so well. I think 45 days is too much. If you want to make it 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I feel we've already had plenty of time to get this done prior to. So it's our misstep, and I will stand by that. So I'm saying 2 weeks or 3 weeks max.
The amount of time doesn't really matter that much to me. Just I'm acknowledging that we're at the 45-day point, and it could be a week because again, we have something on the books for the 23rd of January for that initial meeting. So I was just throwing out a number 45, doesn't really matter. To me, I just want to get some extra space and make sure that we're adhering to board policy to the extent possible.
So we're
Okay.
gonna have a meeting next week.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
All right. I don't
I
have a
don't,
problem
I
with
don't
that.
have your email.
It's
from-
not an email, it's in the board update. I have it right here up and I can show it to you where I shared that doc.
You have to show me how to get to it.
Okay, we'll do.
So, all right. Any other comment? Jeff, go ahead.
I don't like to characterize that as a misstep because it's not. We're not, this is a formality. It's an extent, it's not, it's just it's a timeline that we can work within, and we don't have to use that entire time. We could, it is what it is, and it's not going to take I don't think a whole lot of time, like Butch said, like we did 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, where we had to stretch this thing out with hearing after hearing after hearing. I think it's just a matter of sitting down with them and hammering out what the charter is going to look like for the next 5 years. And I don't see that going to be, that's going to be a interminable process. I think we could be able to do that and get it done. So as Frank said, whether it's 45 days or 30 days or whatever, it's kind of irrelevant and immaterial. It's just, it's a number to adhere to the policy.
All right. Anybody else comment? All right. Well,
Motion in a second to either suspend the 45-day requirement, or add a couple weeks, or however that whoever wants to make the motion can decide. what
okay,
goes.
go ahead, Butch.
I'll make a motion, we suspend the 45-day requirement and have the meeting with them as soon as possible.
Second.
Second that.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All right, all in favor? Actually, questions?
The temporary. It's a temporary motion.
So, all right. Any other questions? Anything? Okay. Actually, let's do a roll call vote for this.
Dr. Baldino,
No.
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Dowling,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes,
Ms. Lynch,
No,
Mr. Scott,
Since we're gonna have a meeting next week, I'll say yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
six yes, 2 no's.
Motion passes. All right. Okay, so at this point, we're going to adjourn the meeting and we'll come back into the regular session.